So you'll notice on our team, Dr. Linda Goulet from First Nations University Indigenous Education is not here because she's sick, and we're feeling bad because she's been sick for a little while. However, I'm grateful to Stuart, who is going to film us and promised me he'd make all my wrinkles and double chins go away, and Mike, who will flip the thing when I point with my lips. So just to give you a little bit about the project.
1 second.
Well,
We'll get you mic'd up.
We'll get you moving a little easier.
Oh,
For some reason, I thought he was first.
well, we're going to be flipping around a lot. We're
Yeah.
going to be annoying you to no end.
No such thing.
Okay. Oh, this is always my speed. This is that. Yeah. I should be at home reading a book.
I'll get you some.
She'd be happier at home reading a book.
Yeah. So the project we're going to be sharing with you today is actually been going on since 2006 in partnership with the File Hills Qu'Appelle Tribal Council Health Services and the 11 First Nations served in that area in southern Saskatchewan. We're funded, we have to say this right up front in case we forget. We're a U of R, well, I'm at U of R, Linda Goulet is at First Nations University, our other partner Warren Linz is at Concordia, and FHQ, you see their logo there, and we have a whole bunch of other people who we've sort of brought on the team over the course of the years, but right now we were the kind of founding members. We have money from the Canadian Institutes of Health Research and the Saskatchewan Health Research Foundation. And we are eternally grateful to them for giving us money so we can do the things we can to serve our communities. What we want to do is really understand those things about Indigenous youth. What are the things that support them? What are the things that get in the way? Our current funding is actually about suicide prevention, though we try and avoid using the S word because it's really about wellness promotion and all those things that can get in the way of youth health. So there's many ways of, we have a lot of ways of looking at things. We think we've discovered in phase 1 of the project that the arts wasn't just a methodology for gathering research data, it's actually an effective health intervention, so we'll talk about that as we go along. Although I have to say today it's more of a show and tell than it is, hopefully we'll be showing as much as we are telling here. And we want to work to create community-based solutions. Having those top-down, expert-driven solutions haven't worked too well in Indigenous health. And funny thing, sometimes we come in there and forget where we come from and have some grandiose idea, and our community partners like, good idea, won't work. So we're learning. My husband does, and I wish he could be here, because he's always going, what are you teaching those kids? I'm going, no, honey, they're teaching us. And that's what this is really about. So, okay, so here's Dustin. He'll be all over.
You're gonna have. Hey, Dustin.
He's got a big teacher
We'll
voice.
get you to try, just because
Like
it'll
my
be better.
movement's going to be all over though. Are you going to follow me?
Probably. It's got 25-foot cable on it, so.
So we go, maybe we just hold it. Here's the whole here.
Hopefully it's not too all over the place.
All of a sudden it's complicated.
We're not a static group.
I'll put this away since I am a quiet talker, and it will just get in my way. If I trip, please laugh, because I will laugh at myself as well. I was joking that I brought my snagging blanket all the way from Keys on my shoulders, so I'm not going home single tonight. So yeah, I see he pulled her in closer. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry, I'll respect boundaries. I'll talk to you for the next little bit, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit about who I am and what I do with IPHRC as well. So good. Oh, I should start with a disclaimer. There's not going to be snakes and moccasins thrown at you, but there may be pieces of paper. I would ask that you, even if they're just beside you, if you pick up that piece of paper and just hold on to it, okay? I'll instruct you with what we're going to do with it later on, but if there's a piece of paper by you, please pick it up, and I hope I don't give any black eyes or anything like that. Dustin, gang, get out of bed. You're gonna be late for school. Oh, yes, Mom, right away. I'm gonna get up. I'm good. Oh, it's only Monday today. Oh, all week of school. Oh, I can do this. 1 more week. 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks before summer holidays. This is great. Well, I look good today. Yeah. Woo. Mom, I'm going to school. You're going to be proud of me. I'm going to get an A. I'm going to get an A today. 80. Isn't that what an A is? I think it is. I haven't had an A in a long time. Okay, I'm gone this time for real. Bye, Mom. Boy, can you believe all those res kids riding in vans? I walk to school. That's the traditional lifestyle. That's why I look like this, I guess. Oh, Leonard, you're a good dog. You know, thank you for being with me. Ever since James passed on, it's kind of like I see you each day and you meet me as I walk down this road. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Brittany, you ready for school? Yeah, here she comes, Brittany. Brittany's coming to walk with me to school. Hi, Dustin. How are you? Pretty good. Pretty good. Not gonna lie. Can you believe these people? They're just riding to school in the vans. Like, why would they want to walk? Ugh. Well, I guess we should go to school. Hey, Derek, what's up? Yeah, Brass's class. I don't know, it's English. I'm gonna go. I told my mom I'm gonna get an A. I'm gonna go to class. Yeah? Okay, I got Brass's class. See you later. Hey, Brass, what's up? I mean, Mr. Brass, sorry. What are we gonna learn today in English, Mr. Brass? Oh, sounds fun. Sure. How are we gonna learn it? What are we gonna do? Oh, sounds fun. When are you gonna start? I'm kinda getting bored. Okay, sounds good. Well, guys, class, welcome. Mr. Brass again. Glad to see you. Today we're gonna talk about health. We're gonna talk about wellness. We're gonna look through the lens of an Indigenous wellness person and how they view health. I have some friends at the IPHRC who have been helping me with some of these health words. Health? Wellness? How can I even think about all that when I got all this going on in my life? I gotta go home. Where's my dad been the last couple weeks? Health? Wellness? Are they gonna ask me? Or are they gonna ask me this? Mr. Brass, can I go outside? I mean, can I go to the bathroom? I gotta go to the bathroom. Okay. Oh, I can't make it there. I gotta run outside. Oh, what are all these things coming at me? Oh, I told you I'm gonna lose this. All these thoughts coming to my mind about Indigenous health. Relax, my boy. Return to the ground where you belong. Okay, what I'm going to do now, this is the English major in me. I've given you out some words, and some of you have multiple words, so we all have the gift of voice. And if you don't have the gift of voice, I please encourage you to hand it to your neighbor. Because of my English degree, I like to go from left to right as we read. So this is what happens. I'm going to go from left to right, and I want you to say the word out loud. What I've done is I've asked members of IPHRC to define what is health and what is wellness. So these words are the words that they threw back at me to define it. So make sure you say it as loud as you can so everyone in the room can hear it. The other part that I do to my students is this, is if 2 people say it at the same time, whoever's quieter has to say it a second time, but louder and with their fist. So if it was like well-being, well-being, yeah, so everyone make sure we hear that word, okay? So we're gonna work left to right, and like I say, just loudly as you can, kind of call that word out. Give.
I got a piece of lint.
Some people give a horse, I give lint. Yeah. Anyways?
Balance, nurture,
Decisions.
Vigor, kinship, love, expressive, laugh.
Holistic.
I didn't hear in the back one loud.
prayers,
I didn't hear the one with the glasses. Sorry, lady with glasses.
Me?
Yeah.
Laugh.
Laugh. Okay. Mike?
Well-being.
Well-being. Okay. So these are terms that came out when I asked them what is well-being. And that's kind of what we wanted you to think further of health just being something that's physical. Go to the doctor, get a medication, and you're fixed kind of thing. We look at the 4 domains of health when we're working with students with arts-based programming. My job in the whole program is to get that voice out. And I don't stop kids by which medium or way to express it. I try to get them to go through drama, through storytelling, through the written word as well, and any ways that they can express. That's kind of what my job is in the research, is to get that voice out there, because I believe everyone has a voice, and we all need to find ways to express it. Youth don't always know the best way to express that. So you heard in the introduction, I'm Dustin Brass. I'm Anishinaabe from Key Reserve, and yeah, I'm very happy to work on this project. I'm now going to turn it over to Dr. Joanna Piskany.
Okay, Stuart, how about I hold it beside this one and then hey! Can it like to 2 places or send you anything creepy
I want you to
feedback?
stay your leg.
All right, there. It's all good, because I don't know if anybody's going to be quite so active. I don't know what David has in store. We're kind of rolling around there. Oh.
I have tape.
Right there? Okay, okay. I have to see what I'm looking at. Another member of our team who is Dr. Nuno Ribeiro, who's another postdoc who works with us, did work with the kids at the FHQ, Five Hills Capel Tribal Council Youth Action Plan, and he would go last year. He's actually just notified me today that he was successful in landing a job, a tenure track position at the University of Illinois, so we're very happy for him. Yes, our postdocs do well. Our other one is a Canada Research Chair in Brandon, so we're really proud. That's Dr. Yvonne Boyer. And this one, I don't want her to leave at the moment. Very upset, but we'll cope. But Nuno did a thing with the youth and free listing, and what their definitions. He started out with the word health, and the words that meant something to the youth, and how important the frequency was. So health for Indigenous youth, and you can see laughter, love, and then adolescent. He put this together so the ones that came out the most, this was actually a sort of quantitative research, were bigger and the other ones smaller. Now you can see, next one, wellness. Actually, the word health did not resonate much with the youth. That was like, yeah, it was more about the things that they thought about that they were taught as health in school, more. But wellness and healing were the ones that really resonated with them. You know, they had little bits of words with the one, but big lists with the other. So running, fitness, freedom, and then at a lesser degree, loving, healthy, you know, things were starting to come up again and again. And healing, okay, think again, where did it go? How do you do that? Oh, hey, it went funny on me there. There are a bunch of words hidden under, it must be the secret screen. They were there when I left home today. They must be with Dustin's bio. Anyhow, needless to say, there's words there. They were important, and we'll just take that and move on. And health equity is one of the issues that we're working for. There is a disparate outcomes between health in Indigenous communities and in the rest of Saskatchewan and Canada. But unfortunately, Saskatchewan and Manitoba probably have some of the worst health outcomes for Indigenous people. And this is some of the examples of the negative ones, but we're looking to see, digging a little deeper and seeing what the causes are. And we really have to look at context, not only of historical colonization, but ongoing oppression and the racism that is insidious. And, you know, Sometimes I think living in this society, living in Saskatchewan, is like living in an alcoholic home, and just when you think life is going really good, something crazy happens, and you didn't know one day when it was all great, and then you went to 7-Eleven and they treat you like crap, and you don't know whether it's because you're First Nations or Métis, or if it's just they're having a bad day, and it's the crazy making. It's like the death of 1,000 cuts, the little insidious episodes of microaggressions, I've heard them called. So we have the history, and these are photographs that you've probably seen: a residential school, the classroom, the regimentation, taking the kids to school in cattle cars. You know, that's the history of trauma, but it's not still in the history books. And this is the context of the skill, health, and community. And I think one of the things that we're looking at in the arts is people can only interpret the world from the place of their own experience. And the arts gives us a way to do that, and we'll talk a little bit about that more. But in colonization, those effects of the negative stereotypes of the youth, these are youth from one of the communities we work with, doing embodied images of the health issues that they perceive facing their communities. External locus of control. And that is a really interesting finding for us, in that, you know, and it's particularly in this society, we hear people, you know, you are your decisions. You know, it's about what your choices are, your decisions, your consequences of the result of that. Kind of you're the captain of your ship, the master of your fate. But geez, I remember when I lived in Prince Albert in the 70s, and I'm supposing this is all over the place, that it was still the Indian agent who made the decisions and told the chief and council what they could do. You know, now it's policy from the Department of Indian Affairs or Aboriginal Northern Affairs Canada. I can't remember, they changed the name, but it's the same thing, that, you know, a different level of scrutiny that people live under. So no doubt people would have an external locus of control, because still the colonizers, settler governments have the power to affect change. So as a result of that, you have this relationship between agency and volition. If you perceive you have no sense of agency, you can't make things happen, why would you have the volition to make things happen? Why would you care? Why would you want to care? Because if you care, then you'd be upset because you have no agency. So we have this circle going on and on. So,
Okay, so hello everyone. In this project, my role is basically to ask a lot of whys and then go back and read a lot and then come back and write a lot. So basically that's what I do, but I also have to hang out with all these cool people and do my research and reading and writing part.
she's not going to be on there long.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
your turn.
I think I can speak a little loudly, and I would rather walk around, and you know, that way I don't feel confined. Okay, so what I'd like to talk about is the connection between healing and arts. But before we talk about that, we need to understand the difference between treatment and healing. So when we talk about treatment, it is basically a strategy which is suggested by an expert, and it is directed to achieve a particular kind of outcome. So basically, you must have seen this ad: if you go get a flu shot, you can avoid flu for this season. On the other hand, healing is a self-directed journey. It is really motivated by the person himself or herself, and the aim is to gain back balance or closure in their life. So there is really a lot of difference between treatment and healing. So where does arts come in to healing, or how does arts even work to achieve the goal of healing? So as Joanne has mentioned, IPHRC has been working with Aboriginal youth, offering arts-based workshop. And while working with youth, what we found, interestingly enough, is arts give youth this capacity to represent their reality. They give them a voice whereby they can tell their stories in their way. And they also find a means to self-learn things, not only about health, but what should be some characteristics of a good leader. What should a healthy community look like? And they can learn all these with the help of arts. And it is not directed by any external expert who comes in and tells them this is how things are should be. They just are able to imagine. They just get that capacity to internalize that learning process. They're also able to look at other factors which have an impact on health, not just looking at health and concentrating on the physical aspect or looking at it, okay, it is caused by a pathogen or a virus or like a bacteria or anything like that. We're also able to investigate or explore how emotions or spirituality can have an impact on the health of a person. What we also found is when youth come into these workshops to take part in drama or take part in some painting or filming kind of activities, they're able to meet new people. They're able to be themselves without the fear of being, oh my God, somebody's going to judge me. Exactly what Dustin was able to do. He was able to roll on the floor without the fear of, I don't know what people are going to think about me. I will see more of that today. And it just gives you the freedom to go outside the box, do things which you would not do normally. It just gives you that freedom to explore and be imaginative. We also found that arts helped people become more expressive, say things, understand things, and make really deep connections with situation or with a concept, which was not possible with words. Somehow words were limiting. They just did not have that freedom. They did not allow individuals to experience that in any way or conceive it or imagine it in any way they wanted to. And what was also found was individual or youth were able to take a step back and then look at their thoughts, their feelings and behavior and kind of like wonder, what does this mean? How are my thoughts or emotion helping me maintain health? Are they interfering with my being able to be healthy? Are they good for me? Are they bad for me? So being able to think critically about oneself and see what's good and what's not working. And it also seemed like it was like a medicine. It was like, this way to relieve oneself from any kind of pain or stress that they might be having or any pain or loss they might have experienced. And while they were experiencing this grieving process, you could say, if they have been into some traumatic situation, they also found there were others who might have been in a similar situation. And while they were grieving together, there was some kind of bond that was being formed. And then they kind of found some hope in their future. And finally, when they came to this workshop, they came as youth, Aboriginal youth, First Nations youth, from high school, girls and boys, and they just began learning to maybe paint, maybe act, maybe shoot a video footage. And while they were doing it, what they found was they were developing this relationship with other people in the workshop. They were strengthening their social connection with other members in the community. And while this was happening, there was some change going on in the way they perceived themselves. So in the beginning, they just looked at themselves as, I'm just a youth. But having participated in this workshop and having learned these skills, having made these new connections, they started to look at themselves a little bit differently. I can paint. I am a painter. I can shoot a video. I'm a filmmaker. So there was change in perception that was going on.
I think I just have one slide, Stu, so. Where is that?
You need help?
It's Nikki.
I got it. Okay. Just kidding. As I mentioned before, we started this project in 2006, and we were fortunate enough to get a partnership network development grant from where I work now, the Indigenous Peoples Health Research Center. I wasn't working there at that time. But our little $10,000 grant, we made that. We're used to being poor. We made this work for a lot of years, and in 2009, we were lucky enough to receive our first operating grant from the Canadian Institutes of Health Research. I suppose in phase one of the project, it was really building that relationship, not just with us, because this was Linda Goulet, Warren Lins, myself, and Karen Schmidt, the health educator, but also building the relationship with community. You know, at our first workshop, it was a while before communities would welcome us in. They may have known who we were, but it's sort of like, what are you doing with our kids? And at that time, because of resources, we were able to do sort of 1 or 2 workshops a year, and because of our skills, we focused on theater. And our project was called Developing Aboriginal Youth Leadership and Healthy Decision Making Through Theater. So it was very much theater workshops with the schools. The youth were given the choice, you know, you can go and do this 3-day theater workshop, or if you don't want to do theater, you could stay into class and do schoolwork. So you could see we had a rather big turnout, although not all of the youth were really enamored with theater. And I think in addition to some of the findings that we mentioned about the agency and volition, external, internal locus of control, one of the very first things is very few youth actually wanted to make a play. So that threw me for a loop. I'm glad I work with people who have education backgrounds because they actually know how to deal with things like that. And what we discovered was the value of play. The theater games, the workshops, what I thought were warm-ups, team building, took on a whole life of its own as far as making us discover that the theater play was playing was actually a health intervention. That in itself, we had little girls that were teary-eyed saying this changed their whole life. Parents coming and going, what did you do with my kid? He talks in school now. So that was a real important finding for us. However, you know, the powers that be that determine how resources are distributed and what programs are funded really don't care what I know in my heart of hearts to be true. We had to get the evidence. Last year when we got our second CIHR operating grant, our focus really was, as I mentioned, suicide prevention through wellness promotion. But in addition to honing this as an intervention, and you'll be hearing a little bit more from Gabriel and David about their after-school programs they'll be talking about. So taking from the couple times a year one-off workshops to a regular meetings with kids over a period of time during the workshops. We also have, as part of our project, we have Greg Marshallden, who's a health policy person and public policy. We have Mamata, quantitative research. We're doing a really mixed methods approach to research. So we're not just doing the arts, we're doing interviews, we're doing focus groups, we're doing surveys, we're looking at things. Cassandra Pikiku Wajunta, who also works in our office, is working with Greg Marshallden on her PhD in public policy and helping us look at things through a policy lens. So that is, I guess we call it phase 2 of the project. Phase 3, and we're sort of in the preliminary stages, is taking it out to other communities, heterogeneous communities, communities in the north, maybe large urban centers, and seeing if this is an intervention actually will work with those groups. So, where to go? There you go.
Hello, everybody. My name's Gabriel, and that's me in the picture, as you can see. I'm currently working with 2 communities, 2 after-school programs. One is in Pasqua First Nation, and the other is an urban group here in the city of Regina. The urban group I've actually worked with since 2011, and some of the students in that class were some of my students through Mackenzie. I've known some of them since they've been like grade 3, grade 4. So I've been fortunate enough to actually see some of I don't want to say my youth, but I mean, some of these young people actually grow and become pretty strong young people themselves. So I've been very fortunate in that sense. What drives me? I'm a big proponent of hope. I feel like the reason why is I'm a walking example of what the arts can do as an intervention, so to speak, and as far as promoting wellness and healing. I don't want to get into too many details about that because we're too short on time. So I would like to actually get into a little bit about showing you guys what it is that we're kind of doing. Again, just like my colleagues had mentioned before, we're kind of staying away from the S word, obviously, and a lot of the negative. All you have to do is turn on the TV or maybe look out your front window or even just open the door from your room. You're going to be bombarded with negative. It's very, very, very important that what I deliver is emphasizing the positive and the beauty in life. And in order to achieve that, there's a few things that we've done, and hopefully the first part of the video will kind of show you what we're doing, and then I'm going to ask you to pause it, and hopefully I can get you guys interacting with me, and then we'll kind of show you the how we're engaging some of the youth. And yeah, so no worries, we'll just play. And I'll talk, it's on the USB stick, so you're going to have to find it. You're going to have to close that guy, and then find the USB. And so some of the highlight stuff I'm going to be showing you is from years past. We don't have any, oh, I can hear it. I can't see it. Oh.
It's on the music thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's opening on the music.
You know what we might have to do? I kind of thought, mine's it's on a QuickTime file. So it might be easier just to do this really, really fast. And so basically what I'm trying to do is not encourage filmmaking per se, but creativity. And what video, I guess one of the benefits that it allows me to do is we can explore tons of different mediums, and video can act as, I guess, the communicator. And whatever it is that we're choosing to pursue, we can capture it on film or integrate that with video somehow and then make it into one piece. So a big part of what I try to do is inclusion of all. Not everybody's going to be interested in film, not everybody's going to be interested in music, not everybody's going to be interested in visual art, but how can we make everybody kind of promote the team concept? We're working with larger groups of youth in classrooms, and some of our teachers in the room can attest to that, the challenges behind engaging big groups of people. So I'm just going to play this, and we'll... You need sound. Okay. Here we go. So sorry, technical difficulties. to get these guys creating stuff and doing things and interacting and working together, so to speak. And then by bringing in these different elements, we're able to celebrate those small successes. And each one of those little successes, even though they might not be somewhat related to video, we can build on them. It's just a continuous building. And that's kind of what will take us to the second half of it. And here we were making a Walking Dead. We made a zombie flick, our own spoof on it. It's a classic Scooby-Doo shot. Sometimes we forget the camera's still rolling, but that's what we call bonus footage, I guess. And basically, like, what I like to do is, at the end of each session, is actually do what, similar to what we're doing now, and that's showing the youth what we made on that day, so that there is that instant reward, and you can. We've got lots of outtakes. So obviously time's not going to let me show you the whole video, but these are just the outtakes and the highlights basically. But sir, you did good.
Is it recording?
So that was the first half. So it's a big part of this is team, right? And I really like to relate that into working and living in community. I mean, if you can work in tandem with kids in your class that you want nothing to do with, and we're calling you names an hour earlier, and you can come up with some beautiful stuff like that, and those are big steps. And I like to think those are the intangibles that can help you in the big world, the big nasty world, where I always talk about intangibles and some of the things that you can't put on paper that we're learning. We're learning team building, we're learning community, we're learning how to see something through from beginning to end. And I know that as a young person, one of the hardest things for me to do was to not quit on something, was to not just, quit. And I think that's part of why I like to show a lot of the video at the end of every workshop. It gives you that instant reward, and then it helps with the engagement, I like to say. So how are we engaging them? How do we get to the point of them telling stories, being comfortable in front of a camera, performing for that matter? Because I mean, anybody who's worked with youth, I mean, that's a tall task. It's a tall drink to try and down. So I mean, they can be intimidating at times when you got this loud, hyper, Aboriginal guy with a camera right in your face saying, perform! So we go through actual steps as far as team building, and I'm kind of hoping that I can get some volunteers today, and maybe we can try something out ourselves. And if I get some volunteers, maybe we can shoot it, and then I'll put it up, and we'll all view the finished product at the end, and we can celebrate it together. So one of the techniques I've been employing is reverse, and basically how I started off was showing some of the groups some of the things we could do with reverse. So we shoot everything as normal, but keeping in mind that we're going to be flipping the video at the end. So basically, we started off with just some basic tasks. You know, peeling a banana, tearing up a piece of paper, pouring out a glass of water, and then seeing how it looks in reverse. The next step was to coordinate and try and choreograph something with the whole group that would be one uncut 3-minute long piece. And then, so once we got through a few minor exercises and the youth grasped the concept, I mean, the ideas started flowing and we had to try to map something out. And this is kind of what I'm hoping I can get some of you guys to try with me in a little bit. So those are a few of the other things. When I did a 3-day project with a group of youth at the Treaty 4 Governance Center, and we bussed them in from all over the Treaty 4 area. And we had extra props this day, which tonight we also have. And we got a little more creative with utilization of some of the props, plus wind was a big help, as you can see. And these youth in particular, this is actually up on YouTube right now. These youth were from all over the Treaty 4 area. Some were from Fort Capel, Calcaris, Pasco First Nation, San Buffalo, that whole region. So some knew each other, some didn't. But I mean, this is kind of what I like to refer to as the magic that happens when you turn on those creative endorphins. And one of the most rewarding things as a facilitator is you see the joy with the participants and how much fun they're actually having, and we're all contributing to the bigger piece as a whole. And that's kind of what it is. It's like inclusion of all, but recognizing the contributions of each individual, and that's kind of the basis for the whole setting down foundations and then building on those small successes, and then hopefully, and from what I've seen and from past experiences, is the growth that happens with the individuals, especially the timid ones and the ones that I don't want to put words in their mouths, but have struggled with seeing the value in what they have to offer, the power of their opinion, and their worth. And that's kind of what motivates me, because I wasn't that much different not all that long ago. So I mean, the power of art. Yes. So who would like to make a video?
Me!
Yeah, all right, we got a couple of filmmakers. Because actually, while David is... All right. So can I have a couple volunteers? Dustin's going to help me out with this a little bit here.
I'll go get.
All right.
I have to make it up to Dustin.
So what we'll do is we'll make our own beautiful piece of art, video, music, and basically the simplicity of this exercise is just a matter of planning out a walk, so to speak. And that's how we're going to kind of do this. Keep it really simple. We'll do a walk, and keeping in mind that our very first frame, first thing we shoot, is going to be the very last frame at the end of the video. So everything's going to be reversed.
So are you guys doing that?
Yeah, well, I was thinking that Is that more efficient? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be
So I can
back.
take my volunteers and let Dustin get started. So we don't eat up any more time. Oh, we're gonna have to help you with that.
Yeah, we gotta hook the thing back up
Yes.
there.
Okay.
Here, I got this. I'll do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah,
You guys
I
can
just
try
love
it there.
He's got Go make a video anytime.
Oh, yes. What's up?
Oh, we'll be fine.
So just flip on to the next two screens. Yeah, there's, and now, yeah.
That makes sense.
All right, while they're making a video, I actually have a teacher voice, so I can actually get pretty loud. I used to teach at Tom Collegiate, and I'm glad that there's one student here from Tom Collegiate for sure. There's two of them actually that I taught. Oh, another one. Sorry. There's three of them. No, two for sure that I have taught in this room. And one thing that I want to mention too is that being a teacher, and in the room that I was in, I think some of those students can attest to this, my ceiling was much higher. And so since my ceiling was so high, my voice got eaten up every day. So guess what I had to do? Learn to get louder. So if anything like that, that's what I found out is I had to find my voice. So why I became a teacher. I became a teacher because quite honestly, I wanted to help others. And that's what it is I really wanted to do. So I wanted students to develop their skills in whatever it is that they might want to choose. So visual art is not a compulsory subject in any kind of secondary schooling. It's more or less if they want to do it, they can. And then we make that class available to them. And then what I found out is that through teaching those classes from grade 9 to 12, these kids would be able to come up with some amazing things. Now, I don't know about the 2 or 3 students that are in here from Tom, but I know that most of them actually did come up with themselves. But what I seen was connection, right? A connection to self and surroundings. And then what they would come up with are different things, right? So I would actually have to be able to model this kind of creation before they would do it themselves. When I say model, I just mean do it yourself. So I can ask a grade 9 student to do a self-portrait, and they'll sit there and draw me a stick man and say, there I am. But that wasn't them. So what I would do is break it down into steps for them so that they can understand, right? So right there is a quick, I think it was 20 minutes, and I'm pretty sure the young lady that's sitting here recording me right now was in this class when I actually drew this in 20 minutes and said, well, you know what, if I can do it in 20 minutes, you can get this done in a week. So that's what it is that I would do with them, just model it for them. What I actually really wanted to do was demonstrate to them that art is important to identity. It's how we traditionally used to represent ourselves. When I say ourselves, I'm talking about First Nation. For those of you who are just showing up, my name is David Benjo, and I'm a Nahalpot. I come from Piapot. Piapot meaning hole in the Sioux, Nahalpot just means the Cree Sioux, for those who don't know the Nahalwak and Lakota mixture. So that's where I'm from. I'm from Piapot, and that's how I grew up with an identity that way. So when I actually look at this, this program that I'm a part of right now, it helps them understand the importance of visual art from a First Nation perspective, and also to have fun with it. Why I say fun with it, I would have assignments where I just let students kind of create whatever it is they need to create, so that way they can have a sense of humor. On the side here, you can't really read it, but this is one of the comics that I would actually get the students to create. Basically, I just give them free rein. Create whatever it is you want to create, make sure it's funny, but age appropriate, because you give teenagers, you let them have free range, they'll put all kinds of swear words in either Cree, Mishnah, doesn't really matter, they'll actually learn how to swear, right? Not learn, they know how. But they would come up with all kinds of things. So what this person did, he wanted to make fun of me, and so he's like, well, you know what, I'm going to make a comic called the Benjo, because I was the only Benjo in the school, and so he started making fun of me, he said, well, the Benjo was like the bison, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff on it. But it became a creation for him. Right? And it was something that he identified with me. And then at the end, like he didn't finish that Art 10 class. But he came back 2 years after and said, do you still have that comic? Because I want to take that home. It's probably the best thing I ever did. It's like, I looked at it and I was like, yeah, okay, you can have it back. But anyway, I was just joking with him and stuff like that, but he did take it back. The reason why I became an artist is because I had to learn my own identity. When I say learn, relearn. I'm not talking about I forgot all about it and I lost it somewhere. The painting that I did, the very first painting was using material that I was not familiar with particularly. It was acrylic. for those of us, what I find out is that what this program really helps out with is supplying the materials for the students to do the work. And what I mean by that is, you know, I can go out there as an artist, but if I don't have materials for them to practice, then what good is that? So anyway, when I first did my acrylic on canvas, I realized how it works. For those of you who can see the image here, this is a photo. It was taken from a photograph of my grandfather who acted in a movie way back in the 60s. I forget what it was called, The Canadians, I do believe, back in 1960 it was made. And anyway, he was portraying a Lakota man who was chasing the whiskey traders back across into Montana. So when he showed up on camera, I remember that. I seen that when I was like 8 years old. And I was like, well, if I ever get a good picture of my grandfather, I'm actually going to, you know, do a drawing of him or painting of him. So I did. And so when I painted it, it took me basically 4 days, and I had to identify all the little stuff that was on there with him. What a lot of people don't realize is that the rifle that he's holding, actually he kept that, and that was an 1874 rifle. Like it doesn't work. Firing doesn't work anymore. And how I actually figured that out is by looking at the actual serial number and stuff. And then even the beadwork itself is identifying to him, right? I know that this is the kind of beadwork he wore in his dancing outfit along with you guys. I don't know that we have powwows, I hope. And so in which case that stuff is on there. Another thing is that since this is the Lakota part of where it come from, the Lakotas, those of you who looked a little bit into history, well, how did they come to Saskatchewan? Well, they came because of the Plains War, right? The Plains Indian War, and this is how some of them come into the reserves. I see some of them, but some of us come to the reserves and stuff. So we have that bloodline. So the escaping of the wars that were going on down there. But it's the first painting I ever completed, and there's so much of my identity that goes into this. And I thought about this every day, and I know that when you create artwork, it doesn't matter. It's a part of you. Now, I've been offered $3,000 when this was actually exhibited.
Sold.
Nope. I've been offered money for paintings before, and quite honestly, it's really tough for me to sell them. I can't sell them because, you know, there's so much of my time and there's so much of my own identity that goes into it. How can I sell myself? You know what I mean? So most of the time what I do, if somebody likes something, and if we share something back and forth, here, you can have it. But not this one. This one's for me. So anyway, yeah. Art is humor. Now, I was a part of the Wachuanichi Funk back in 2006. I put this one up here mainly because when I became a teacher back in 2006, I didn't tell them that I was a part of this exhibit, and then they had me, well, it was the other art teacher that organized the field trip, and they had me go with them. And I was like, okay, well, I'll follow along the classes and stuff like that. And then during the painting was hanging on the wall, and these students were all like, well, we're going to choose our favorite one. And they all went to stand in front of this one. They said, you know what this reminds me of? Well, I call it the ugly man, but really we call it the ugly buggers, because that's what they are. Those of you who've ever been to a powwow, you know what the ugly buggers are. There's those guys that hide in the dark and they whistle at girls. That's those guys. But anyway, the students all chose it because they identified with it because of another thing. It was with it was a cartoon called, I don't know, something Kingsman or something like that. King of the Hill, there we go. That's what they saw right away. And the funny thing is, like, well, you know, I don't know what he's thinking. There's a guy trying to interpret the artwork that was standing right there, right? And then I was standing behind all the students, and he's like, well, I think the artist was feeling this and feeling that. I kind of think he was mad or angry. And well, I wasn't. I was asked 3 days before the exhibit by the curator to fill up space. And he said, here, I got 6x4 canvas. Can you paint me something? And then we'll put it on the wall. It's like, sure, I'll do that. And so that's how this one went down, right? So when it comes to humor, a lot of that humor comes in. And so when I'm doing stuff, I like to have fun. I'm not going to sit there and berate the kids for not doing work or doing this kind of stuff like that. I just want them to actually enjoy the materials and come up with something that they want to come up with. And for me, getting the students to do stuff, you find so much of them that's put into it. So the one on the end, the young lady who left here, when I was doing my research, she actually created that one. The reason why that is so important for me that students create their own artwork, because that's a piece of them, right? That's them that they're sharing. The other ones is like symbolic, right? Student playworks and tiles and stuff like that. That's just something that they do. They want to actually tell their stories, and that's what art is a story. Like when you can sit there and say, well, it's so abstract. Like, I look at all the paintings on the wall, and like somebody probably took photographs and stuff. But I was listening to somebody earlier saying, oh, well, that's our auntie's house right there. And I think somebody said that earlier on this wall. And I was like, well, oh, then stories started to happen. And this is what art was supposed to do. And how this actually got me involved with this is looking at traditional teepee liners. Now, you can't see this because the brightness is so off, but traditional teepee liners, my last name from my mother is Anaskan. In our language, it means the sheets. And basically, there's supposed to be another connotation to it that must not be Anaskan. So the writing or the drawing or painting of sheets. So that's what my last name used to be. Before I changed to Andrew. But that was my mother's name, like I said. But there used to be a record keeping, and they were all story-based. Every image that you saw, every beadwork that you see, there's a story connected to it. And how I use this for students is, tell me your story. It takes so little other than just to supply supplies and have them tell their story in whichever fashion that you can. So this project, the IPHRC project, actually helped me reconnect with some of those students. So like I said, I taught for 5 years with the grade 9 to 12 and helped them understand how it is different mediums can create different pieces of work. So if you just give them and supply the material, I guarantee you everybody in here has a story. And I know that, and so in which case you find your own medium on how you tell your story. All we are is facilitators to that learning, and not even learning, that expression. So that's what we do. I wish you could see this, but I know in my own research and what these kids are starting to come up with over at PCs, that's where we're doing our after-school program, coming up with fascinating stories on identity. Their connection to who they are, their family, and everything. So I know who I am, where I come from. I know my I guess you could call it ancestry. I know where I am. And I think, if anything, that's what this program is offering, is giving them a piece of them, giving them something so that they can express who they are. And that's all we were trying to do with this. And then the stories that are going to come out of this are going to be amazing. I know I say that because I myself am a residential school survivor too. I attended residential school back in the 80s. No, I wasn't as bad, but I'm still classified as a survivor. Both my parents attended residential schools, and I guarantee you that I would not be standing here if it wasn't for art and those people that care. So if anything, if you supply that kind of stuff, like Gabriel said earlier, and Dustin rolling around on the floor in a blanket, if there isn't an intervention, then you're going to probably, always call it an intervention, a supplying of some kind of knowledge or some kind of material, then you're not going to get that success, right? I'm here for that reason, and I know that I'm really appreciative of actually being 1 inch away from making a gigantic mistake. And I wouldn't even be standing here with you. Right? I'd be somewhere else. And I know that I'd be somewhere else probably going in and out, because we're going to go see some of those guys tomorrow. The gang leader guys, yeah, we're going to go see those guys tomorrow, but that's where I was almost. So when I think about it, this supplying that opportunity is so important. We need that. And then we see that on reserve. And those of you who haven't heard budgeting and stuff like that, First Nations reserves are always least funded. And so when they're least funded, well, what's the first thing that gets cut from any education program? The arts. And so what are we supplying? We're supplying them the material and the ability to create even more of their stories. And I guarantee you, we let them tell their stories and you're willing to listen, you're going to have healthier people. I know that. So at First Nations University, I know we teach about the holistic person. So we talk about emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual, and then those are just words. But if you leave something out an expressive way, then you're not going to have a full, I guess you'd say, a fully connected person. So that's the reason why I'm here, and that's the reason why I love my job. I'm doing what it is I do. And the fact that I get to teach it. I'm training young teachers actually to help them understand this is so important. So we can't separate all those subjects. There's no separation, in my mind anyway. I can connect math, science, all that stuff together in an art class. I know because it's all about chemistry, it's all about science, gathering materials, doing all this other stuff. I know that because that's what I took. So in our traditions, that's still there. I know because I did the research. And when I did that research, I found out that, holy smokes, these little guys must have knew a heck of a lot. You know, they knew how to get that blue, they knew how to get that red, they knew how to get that yellow, they knew how to get that white. It's like, well, they had that knowledge. Why can't we just not reintroduce it, just revitalize it? Because it's there. Right? And that's what this whole program is about, is just like helping those students out there on reserve, just to get them to try something. Right? And so that's what it is, my purpose is, and that's what it is I'm going to throw. Now I know Gabe is going to be talking about. Yeah. This is from last week, and I know it's not showing up too well. We just started 3 weeks ago out at PC's and introducing some of the materials, and those kids are so appreciative. It's really funny because a lot of them have no idea what terminology is and stuff like that. Well, I'm going to use my pencil. Well, it's graphite, really, is what you're doing. But I try to help them understand it a little bit more. The fun thing about the PCs, though, is that every one of them know Cree phrases. And it's awesome. Like when I say Cree, hell up, they actually can write in syllabics, and they speak to me. Like some of them are actually, I couldn't get them because they didn't volunteer look for their photographs, but some of them are actually telling some pretty elaborate jokes in Cree. So there's that reconnection of who they are happening through this project. Now this is a pencil drawing about identity. Yeah, I remember. But it's about a connecting project with identity and how it is that they're actually going to learn all these materials from now until basically the beginning of June. So I'm going out there every week to try and make sure that they have that opportunity. But other than that, I think I'm like 13 minutes and I'm done. So I tried to actually say it as quick as I could. But I wish we could have done something in here, and I think some of you know this exercise that I would do, and I would do this with the kids. It's actually a timed exercise in drawing, and we don't have tables and everything, and we would have supplied paper for you, and then I would actually have you guys try the practices that I would get them to do. Yeah, so there's tons of things to be able to do in terms of visual art, and don't just leave it to painting, drawing, there's clay, there's tons of things, carving, there's wonderful things out there that these kids can be doing, and this is what this project provides. So that's my spiel, I guess, on visual art. There's tons of things other than that.
Unlike them, I'm not a loud talker, so I always fade off and somebody has to go, talk a little bit louder. While Gabe is doing his editing here, wonder if there are questions on how this sort of straight. I gotta say, I have to appreciate that I am so fortunate to have such a dream team to work with. And our other team member here is Wendy Whitebear, who is our research coordinator. Who, sorry, she's got the magic purchasing card and all this makes all the things really. We can all be up here, and then she can make them happen in real life. So we're very appreciative. But questions.
I have a question.
Okay. We didn't like make a question. It's a feeder question. She doesn't
Well, it
know.
is a feeder question, but like with all the arts-based stuff, do you think that it's actually benefiting the kids?
Well, that's what Matt is going to find out. Right now, like I said before, there are things like that I know in my heart of hearts, just from the responses of the youth, from what the teachers have told us, what parents have said, what health people have said, that it's made a difference in life, in choices, behaviors. Seems to me I've had a grandchild graduate from the school in Fort Capel like every year for the last about 5 years, and I started seeing the kids who we worked with walking across the stage and getting a grade 12. Can I draw a direct cause and effect relationship by participating in our program and then graduating? Nope. I think we had an effect. There's probably multiple things that have had an effect. But part of the plan in this, we're doing surveys on wellness and well-being, questionnaires, I guess we're calling them. We're doing interviews before the before the program starts and at the end. We're going to go and do a data gathering. We're going to go to the powwow circuit and give out free Indian tacos to people who fill out our questionnaires.
And she's cooking.
We're going to do key stakeholder interviews so we can actually have some evidence to prove what we do know in our heart of hearts has made a difference, and that's really an important research component of this project.
How many years?
Misty?
We were talking earlier, and you talked about how Cassie she was your second phase, and then you had your third phase. what do you guys hope to achieve once it's all done? What do you want to do with it once you've gathered and collected and met your objectives with the research you've
Yeah.
done?
Almost, maybe we're on phase 3, because kind of the relationship building and engagement was probably, I should rephrase that. I think in the final stage of this, it's, much of what we do, we have sort of pressures on two ends. One is from the community, like the FHQ chiefs have identified youth as being a top priority several years ago. And all of their programs have to have a component to benefit youth. And when I met with our committee from our Health Research Advisory Committee from the community, that seems to be a thing all over the province. So we're getting that. And youth suicide has been a big issue. So those are things. On the other end, we have to be very opportunistic as far as living in a funded environment. The only thing we get, Indigenous Peoples Health Research Center from the university is my salary and a small grant for the things that are not eligible for research funding. So all of these guys, all of the supplies, everything is for research funding. So we have to focus on that. The Canadian Institutes of Health Research has Pathways to Health Equity for Aboriginal People as their signature initiative, and it's 4 areas, one of which is youth, one of which is suicide prevention. So that's driving us too. So we've got kind of community on one end and the funders on the other. What I would like to see is us to have the evidence and the policy rationale to affect the way things are delivered, what's available to First Nations communities to show that this can make a difference in kids' life. And so I hope that there be resource reallocation, program development, policy change to support that. So that's what I would hope for an outcome. And a whole bunch of, and also I should add to that, and I think having these 3 wonderful community research assistants, Gabe and David and Dustin, is building capacity. I'm going to be 62 this year. My husband just retired. I may have to retire one day. I don't know. I don't really want to. I forget I'm old. But we need to bring along the next generation. We got Cassandra Pikikiwajunta working on policy in the office. Like that means so much to me to be able to support young people from our communities to get higher education, so we can see it to be normal for there to be, First Nations, Métis people actually in the academy as qualified researchers with PhDs, as, practicing artists and out in the community. That's huge. Capacity building.